everybody, Tajri on the Guy 3 here, and welcome back to Pokemon XY&Z anime reviews. Today's episode we will be reviewing is the strongest Mega Battle, Greninja versus Mega Charizard. This episode did exactly what it was supposed to do. It brought, it brought our two main characters together. It brought Ash from, obviously, the XY&Z series, and Alain from the Mega Evolution acts together, finally merging their characters. I like how this episode has brought them together, not within the heavy plot sense, but in the sense of them just sort of battling each other. It's kind of weird to me, though, that Alain is just really mad and in pursuit of trying to find a cure for Manon's Chespin, but he still has time to have casual battles with certain trainers. I think the fact that Ash's Greninja wasn't a Mega Evolution but still had the properties of a Mega Evolution sort of piqued Alain's interest, and that's what triggers the whole battle in the first place. But it's good to see that Ash and Alain know each other on a friend standpoint as their first meeting, which means when Ash finds out he works with Team Flare, the inevitable, it's gonna get pretty heavy. And that's for us as the viewers to see, so, yeah. But anyway, the episode starts off with Ash and Shota already in mid-battle. Kalucha's basically knocking out one of Shota's Pokemon. Shota brings out Honedge, and Ash breaks out Pikachu, and Pikachu wins that battle. Then, finally, Shota lets out his Sceptile. At this point, Grovyle has evolved into Sceptile, so Ash, in response, uses Greninja. And when Ash uses Greninja ends up, doing pretty fair in the battle at first, but then he ends up getting caught in the Leaf Tornado attack. This looks like trouble for Ash and Greninja, so when Greninja takes a lot of damage, it ends up going into its inner rage along with Ash and ends up evolving further into Ash Greninja. So at this point, Ash Greninja goes in, wastes no time, and knocks Sceptile out. While all of this is happening, though, Alain notices that there is a Pokemon that's further evolved past its final form, but it's not reacting to his Mega Ring, nor is the Mega Energy Center reacting to it, so it piques his curiosity. When the battle's over, Shota and Ash end up getting their Pokemon healed at the Pokemon Center, the same one that Alain's at, and they all end up talking about Ash and his Ash Greninja. So they finally have decided to address the issue that's been happening since episode, 9? Probably even further than that. Well, they finally decided to address the issues that have been happening since way back in the Ninja episode. And Ash really can't explain it. He doesn't know exactly what goes on when Greninja evolves into Ash Greninja. He just knows that he has the ability to see through Greninja's eyes and feel damage that Greninja feels. And they get that burst of power. So they don't really know much. They just know that, it's a further way to get stronger. And while they're discussing this, Team Rocket is spying on them as well. When Team Rocket keeps their eyes on them, they want to pursue Pikachu, obviously. And thank goodness they come in when they did, because they come in at the middle of the episode rather than at the end like I thought they would, interrupting the inevitable battle between Ash and Alain. So while this is happening, though, our heroes decide to go and sleep. While they're sleeping, Team Rocket comes in and kidnaps Pikachu accordingly. Ash and the others try to pursue Team Rocket even though they're in their pajamas and they don't have their available Pokemon ready. But thankfully, Alain happens to be in the area. While Alain's in the area, he ends up saving Pikachu using Charizard. And when Charizard busts Pikachu free, Ash and Pikachu send Team Rocket flying with a Thunderbolt. And Alain congratulates Ash on that wonderful display of Thunderbolt. They end up introducing themselves to each other, and Ash notices that Charizard actually has a Mega Ring. Because Ash noticed this, he actually requests a battle with Alain. So he's the one that initiates the battle, and Alain happily agrees because he wants to look into this Mega Evolution, or lack of Mega Evolution, even further. So then the battle starts off, and we get the battle of a lifetime here. The battle that everyone's basically been waiting for since the first Mega Evolution special started. We finally get the Ash versus Alain battle. When this battle starts, Alain ends up using Charizard, but he doesn't Mega Evolve it right off of the bat. And Ash ends up using Greninja, and since they have no real way of automatically activating it. They only do it when they're in a pinch. So the battle starts with just regular Greninja fighting Charizard, and for a while it looks really good. Charizard shows to be really agile for a Charizard, and ends up doing some pretty decent moves on Ash Greninja, on regular Greninja. But then Charizard ends up Mega Evolving, and the tables start to turn a little bit because Mega Charizard X knows the Thunder Punch now. Like, I'm guessing Alain taught Charizard Thunder Punch moments before the battle even started. Either that or Charizard just learned Thunder Punch. Regardless, Charizard knows Thunder Punch now, and that ends up having a huge advantage on Ash and his Greninja because, Greninja's a Water-type Pokemon. At this point, Greninja's in a bit of a pinch here, but then he ends up evolving into Ash Greninja. And when that ends up happening, they end up fighting full force. Ash Greninja fights off against Mega Charizard X while they use Thunder Punch, while Greninja goes ahead and charges forward. The two are fighting off against each other, and it looks tied off. But then Alain shows to have a little bit more power behind him and Charizard ends up knocking Greninja out. So this is Greninja's first official loss now with Ash, and this is Ash's first official trainer loss in a while. So Greninja ends up getting knocked out. Ash loses the battle, but he takes the loss rather well because at this point it gives him and Greninja a chance to work on their tactics a little more and become stronger as a team. Then at this point, Ash gives a nice friendly handshake to Alain, wishing them farewell, and they all end up leaving off. While all of this is happening also, I'd like to point out, and I should have pointed this out earlier because it did happen earlier in the episode, Team Flare is also planning to do something with the, this is happening simultaneously while the episode's happening, around the time before they end up going to sleep. While this is happening, though, we see that Team Flare has taken a bunch of Zygarde cells, just the cells, and has used their power in order to create this cannon. And this cannon shoots into a certain area, and rather than destroying the area, it makes a really giant tree, so it must have revitalization powers similar to that of, like, Xerneas. At the end of the episode, we end up seeing that once Ash is, pondering over the loss, he's not upset about it. He just has learned a few things. We cut back to Team Flare, and when we cut back to Team Flare, it shows that they've created large amounts of floration or tree growth in the area. The area looks like it's Sea Spirit's Den in XY&Z. So the same area where you would meet Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno, respectively, if you wanted to battle them. So yeah. There's a lot going on down there, we can see, with a lot of the growth of the trees and everything. So once that's said, the episode basically ends. This episode did everything it needed to do. I like that Team Flare's plot was happening while this episode was happening, because it did us well by introducing two main characters together and finally having them have that battle. And yeah, we all pretty much knew that Alain was gonna win because Alain is a pretty powerful force at this point, but I do want to see Ash make that comeback and beat Alain in a battle because yeah, Ash needs to go ahead and take that revenge kill. So I'm really hoping that happens. One thing I'm sort of fearing though, and that's Shota. Ash has beaten Shota way too many times now, which means that Shota's going to be a threat in the league, basically. I doubt that the writers are basically trying to fix what they did with Kotetsu and do the same thing that they did with Ash versus Paul. You know how Ash kept losing all his battles with Paul and then finally in the league he wins? I don't want that to happen. I don't want Shota to win in a battle where it actually matters because, I'm on the team where I want Ash to win the whole league. So Shota losing this many times does have me a little bit uneasy. Only because, that means his comeback in the league is unfortunately justifiable now. And I really don't like that. Like, I'm scared of that. Yeah, he's beaten Tyrino and Trevor too. But Tyrino and Trevor show that they don't have as much importance. And they don't show to be as powerful as rivals as Shota is right now. Well, in terms of importance. So I'm really hoping that Ash loses at least one battle with Shota before they make it to the league. That way Ash can go ahead and have a turnaround victory and win the whole thing. Because, yeah, right now I'm fearing the fact that Ash may lose. And I don't want that to happen. Like, yeah, I really don't. So I'm fearing Shota right now, but I am rooting for Ash to go ahead and have that revenge battle against Alain. And I like how these battles are very important battles. They're very important. I like how the episode jumps straight into things with Shota. That's a really good thing to happen rather than them to just talk and meander. So it was a lot of time for very plot heavy things to happen within this episode. This episode didn't waste a minute in the action that was happening left and right. Team Rocket felt sort of shoehorned in as a sad excuse in order to introduce Alain. I see no reason why Alain could have just came in during the battle between Shota and Ash. I guess they just needed that to fill in the time. But other than that, you also notice I don't think Zygarde, Puni-chan makes an appearance in front of Alain during the entire episode. He's mostly resting in order to absorb sun rays at this point. And that's good because I think Alain does have that connection, but he'll wind up meeting Puni-chan in the next episode anyway. So yeah, I'm glad that Ash didn't, I'm glad that the loss didn't mess up Ash's momentum too much. I kind of wish it did hit Ash though, because Ash needs a snapback to reality that he's not invincible, and I don't want him to get that snapback during the league. Like I said, I know I sound like a broken record right now, but him losing in the league would kind of frustrate me at this point because I want this to be his win. 20th anniversary. Ash has been going on for a while. He has a really tough team. I kind of need him to win this time around. But other than that, other than Ash curb stomping Shota, I'm really hoping within my hearts of hearts that he wins. But other than that, this episode did a really good job. I'm glad that he did lose to Alain, however, because that'll make the revenge kill a lot sweeter. But other than that, we see that Alain's going to be making an appearance again in the next episode, which is titled The Explosive Land's Wrath, Operation Capture Zygarde. So with that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. Have a great day. Tyrone the God 3, out.